The first real battle happened above a world called Sanctuary. The planet held no military value, but 5 billion people lived there. The creatures did not care about military value. They only cared about consumption. Captain Sora watched her displays as the enemy approached. 50 of the creatures, each the size of a small moon. They flickered in and out of normal space, hungry and relentless. Behind them, the stars were going dark, consumed, erased from existence. All ships, battle stations, Sora ordered. Engage dark matter field. Full power to weapons. Around the unseen dawn, 49 other human ships shimmered. Their hulls became transparent, then solid, then transparent again. They existed in both dimensions now, able to touch things that normal matter could not reach. The creatures noticed. They stopped advancing. For the first time since the invasion began, they hesitated. "They know we can hurt them," Lieutenant Jiwan said from her tactical station. She had transferred from Station Nexus Prime to serve on the flagship. "They are afraid." "Good," Sora said. "Let them be afraid. All ships fire." The human fleet opened fire. But these were not conventional weapons. Dark matter missiles streaked across space, visible only as distortions in reality. They phased through normal space and struck the creatures in the dimension where they truly existed, where they were vulnerable. The first creature died. It made no sound, but every sensitive instrument in the fleet registered the death scream, a pulse of energy that rippled through dark matter space. The other creatures recoiled. "Target destroyed," Jiwan reported. "Enemy formation is breaking up. They are trying to escape." "Do not let them," Sora said coldly. "Pursuit pattern Delta. Kill them all." The battle lasted 2 hours. When it ended, all 50 creatures were dead. The human fleet had suffered minor damage to 3 ships. 0 casualties. On Station Nexus Prime, Counselor Vexith watched the battle recordings. He watched human ships phase through enemy attacks like they were not there. He watched them strike at targets that conventional sensors could not even detect. He watched them win. He turned to Commander Dae-jung, who stood beside him. "I need to say something." "You already apologized," Dae-jung said. "Not enough." Vexith stood. "I spent 200 years in the military. I rose to become a counselor. I thought I knew everything about war, about tactics, about strength." He gestured at the screen. "I knew nothing. Your people in 30 years surpassed everything we learned in 10,000. How?" Dae-jung considered the question. "You assumed you were already at the top. You stopped looking for new answers because you thought you had found them all. We never made that assumption. We always knew we were behind, so we kept searching. Sometimes the student learns more than the teacher because the student never stops studying." Vexith was quiet for a moment. "We need your help. Not just your ships. We need to learn what you know." "I know," Dae-jung said. "Admiral Tae-yang has authorized Engineer Bora to begin technology transfer. She's already setting up training stations. Your people can learn to retrofit their ships with dark matter shields. They will listen to her." "A human engineer?" Dae-jung smiled. "They will listen or they will die. That tends to motivate people." Engineer Bora stood in a massive hangar bay, surrounded by alien engineers from 24 species. They all stared at her, some with hope, some with skepticism, a few with barely hidden resentment. "I know what you are thinking," Bora said. "How can a human teach us anything?" "We invented faster-than-light travel. We built the great stations. We mapped the galaxy. What could we possibly learn from a species that was still using chemical rockets 50 years ago?" She pulled up a holographic display. "You are thinking that because you are idiots. Smart idiots, but still idiots. You mastered conventional physics, congratulations. You can manipulate normal matter and energy very well. But you forgot something. Normal matter is only 5% of the universe. The other 95%? Dark matter and dark energy. We decided to study the 95% you ignored. That is why we can fight these things and you cannot." One of the alien engineers, a crystalline being, spoke up. "Our scientists examined dark matter. They concluded it could not be manipulated or weaponized." "They were wrong," Bora said bluntly. "They were wrong because they approached it with the wrong assumptions. They tried to use conventional physics to understand something that operates on completely different rules. It is like trying to use a hammer to paint a picture. Wrong tool for the job," she began the lecture. She taught them the basics of dark matter field theory. She showed them how to generate dark matter containment fields. She explained the principles behind phase shifting. Some understood quickly, others struggled. But they all learned. By the end of the week, the first non-human ship had been retrofitted with dark matter shields. It was a Vexith military cruiser, volunteered by the counselor himself. When the shields activated, the alien crew gasped. Their ship flickered, existing in both dimensions. They were no longer helpless. Admiral Tae-Yang organized combined fleet operations. 50 human ships at the core, surrounded by 200 council vessels equipped with the new shields. It was not perfect. The council ships could not phase as completely as human vessels. But it was better than nothing. They practiced together, trained together, learned each other's tactics and signals. It was awkward at first. Old prejudices died hard, but necessity forged new bonds. Lieutenant Ji-won found herself training council tactical officers. She stood in a simulation room with officers from 5 different species. The creatures hunt by sensing energy emissions, she explained. If you fire your weapons, they will sense you and swarm. So you have to be smart. Rotate your firing ships. Keep moving. Never give them a stable target. A young reptilian officer, similar species to Vexith, raised his hand. In our training, we were taught to hold formation, to present a united front. That will get you killed, Ji-won said. These things do not care about your formations. They care about consuming you. Fluid tactics. Constant motion. That is how you survive. The officer nodded slowly. I understand. Thank you, Lieutenant. Ji-won saw the respect in his eyes. Earned respect. Not given out of fear or obligation, but because she knew what she was talking about. It felt good. Dr. Minji worked around the clock analyzing the creatures. Every time the fleet destroyed one, they collected data. She studied the readings, looking for patterns and weaknesses. They are not mindless, she announced in a conference with all senior officers. They communicate. They adapt. After every battle, the next group uses different tactics. They are learning from their mistakes. Can we exploit that? Admiral Tae-Yang asked. Maybe. They seem to have a central intelligence. A nexus that coordinates their actions. If we can find it and destroy it, we might be able to cut off the entire invasion force. How do we find it? Captain Sora asked. Dr. Minji smiled. We follow the trail. Every time they consume matter, they leave a signature in dark matter space. A kind of footprint. If we map enough of these footprints, we can trace them back to their source. It took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of constant battle. 3 weeks of victories and losses. The Unseen Dawn took heavy damage in a fight over a mining colony. Captain Sora refused to abandon her ship, even when hull breaches appeared across multiple decks. Her crew worked miracles, keeping the ship operational through sheer determination. Commander Yeji led ground forces on 7 different worlds, coordinating evacuations while the fleet held the line above. She saved millions of lives. She also lost 300 soldiers. She attended every funeral. Counselor Vexith flew combat missions, piloting a fighter equipped with dark matter weapons. He was old for a combat pilot, but he refused to sit safely on a station while others fought. He proved himself skilled, destroying 4 creatures in a single engagement. The galaxy watched. They watched humans fight. They watched humans bleed. They watched humans save worlds that had mocked them, and they understood. On the 4th week, Dr. Minji found what she was looking for. I have it, she said, transmitting coordinates to the fleet. The Nexus. It exists in a region between dimensions, mostly in dark matter space, but anchored partially to our reality. If we destroy it, we cut the invasion off at the source. Admiral Tae-Yang studied the data. It will take everything we have, and some of our ships may not come back. I know, Dr. Minji said quietly. I am sorry. I wish there was another way. Admiral Tae-Yang looked around the command center, at the officers and crew who had worked so hard for so long. It is not your fault, Doctor. We always knew there would be a price. The question is, are we willing to pay it? He knew the answer before he asked. They all did. On Station Nexus Prime, Ambassador Hana met with High Chancellor Moros. The old insectoid looked tired. Your people are dying for us, he said. For a council that treated you with contempt, why? Hana looked out the window at the stars. Because it is the right thing to do. Because those people out there, the ones we are saving, they did nothing wrong. They do not deserve to die because their leaders were arrogant. And because humanity decided a long time ago what kind of species we wanted to be. We wanted to be the kind that helps. Even when it is hard, even when it costs us. Moros clicked his mandibles softly. We do not deserve you. Admiral Tae-Yang stood before the assembled fleet. Every captain, every commander, Every officer who would lead their crews into the final battle. They appeared on his screen, faces from a dozen worlds. But the humans, the ones who would pay the highest price, they were all physically present in the command center. The nexus exists between dimensions, Admiral Taeyang said. To reach it, we have to fully phase into dark matter space. Our ships can do this. We have the technology, but once we phase completely, we cannot phase back. The energy requirements are too high. It is a one-way trip. The room was silent. Everyone understood what that meant. I am asking for volunteers, Admiral Taeyang continued. I need 50 ships, 50 crews, to enter dark matter space, locate the nexus, and destroy it. The rest of the fleet will provide a diversion, drawing the creatures away from the attack force. If we succeed, we cut off the invasion. We save the galaxy, but the volunteers will not come home. Captain Sora stood. The Unseen Dawn volunteers. Sora, you do not have to, Admiral Taeyang began. Yes, I do, Sora said firmly. I have been commanding this ship since it launched. I know her better than anyone. If we are going into dark matter space, you want the best pilots and the best ships. I am both. One by one, other captains stood. Young ones, old ones, humans who had spent their entire lives preparing for this moment. By the time the volunteering ended, 70 ships had offered. Admiral Taeyang had to turn 20 away. Commander Daejung approached the Admiral privately. Let me go with them. I can coordinate the attack from inside dark matter space. No, Admiral Taeyang said. You are needed here. Someone has to maintain relations with the Council after this is over. Then let Hana do that. She is better at politics than I am. Daejung, Admiral Taeyang said gently. I am going. I am leading the mission personally. Daejung stared at him. You are the fleet commander. You are needed? I am needed to lead by example, Admiral Taeyang said. These people are following me into death. The least I can do is die with them. Besides, I am old, 63. I have lived a good life. Let the young ones like you rebuild the galaxy after we save it. He put a hand on Daejung's shoulder. Tell Hana I said she was a better ambassador than we deserved. Tell Dr. Minji that her calculations were perfect. Tell Bora that her engines never failed us. And tell Earth that we did our duty. Daejung saluted. There were tears on his face. Ambassador Hana insisted on speaking to the volunteer crews before they departed. She stood in the hangar bay of the Unseen Dawn, surrounded by 300 people who would soon be dead. I do not know what to say, she admitted. Thank you seems inadequate. You are saving billions of lives, trillions if we count future generations. The Council, the species that mocked us, they will live because of you. Your names will be remembered. Your sacrifice will never be forgotten. But I know that does not make it easier. I know you are afraid. I know you wish there was another way. She looked at each of them. Young faces, old faces, scared faces, brave faces. I am proud of you. Earth is proud of you. Humanity is proud of you. You are the best of us. And when this is over, when the galaxy is safe, I will make sure everyone knows what you did here. I will make sure they never forget. Captain Sora stepped forward. Thank you, Ambassador. But we did not do this for fame or glory. We did this because it needed to be done, because someone had to, and because we could. That is enough, the fleet assembled. 150 ships in total, 50 volunteers in the center, surrounded by 100 ships that would create the diversion, the largest force humanity had ever fielded, and it still might not be enough. Dr. Minji transmitted final calculations to the volunteer ships. The Nexus is anchored to specific coordinates in dark matter space. I am sending them now. You will need to deploy dark matter antimatter devices at these exact points. The explosion will collapse the dimensional anchor and sever the creature's connection to our galaxy. How close do we need to be? Admiral Taeyang asked. Dr. Minji hesitated. Very close. The devices need to be placed manually. You will have to navigate right up to the Nexus. Understood, Admiral Taeyang said. We can do that. Commander Daejung led the diversion force. 100 ships, including 70 council vessels that had been retrofitted with dark matter shields. They jumped into the target zone and immediately engaged every creature they could find. The creatures swarmed them, hundreds of the things, all hungry and vicious. But the fleet was ready. They scattered, moving in complex patterns that Jiwan had designed. They fired and retreated, drawing the creatures away from the center of the system. The volunteers are phasing, Jiwan reported. They are entering dark matter space now. Daejung watched his display. The 50 volunteer ships began to flicker. Then they vanished from normal sensors. Gone. Existing now only in the dark dimension that humans had learned to navigate. Admiral Tai Yang felt the transition. One moment the stars were visible. The next everything changed. Dark matter space was not empty. It was full of structures and currents and things that should not exist. The unseen dawn shuddered as it navigated through impossible geometry. I see it, Captain Sora said quietly. I see the nexus. It was massive. Larger than a star. Larger than anything they had ever seen. A structure of pure dark matter and dark energy, pulsing with malevolent intelligence. Tendrils extended from it in all directions, anchoring it to reality. And it was aware of them. It knows we are here. Lieutenant Ji-won's voice crackled over the communication system. She had insisted on joining the volunteers, overriding Daijung's objections. It is trying to communicate. I am receiving some kind of signal. What does it say? Admiral Tae-yang asked. Ji-won was quiet for a moment. It says it is fleeing. It says something worse is coming. Something that even the creatures fear. It says we should let it consume this galaxy and move on, or else we will face what it is running from. Admiral Tae-yang felt cold. Transmit that to command. Make sure they know. But it does not change our mission. This thing has killed trillions. We cannot let it continue. I know, sir, Ji-won said, proceeding with device deployment. The 50 ships spread out, navigating toward the anchor points. The Nexus tried to stop them. It sent tendrils of darkness slashing through space. 3 ships died immediately, then 5 more, then another 7. But the rest kept going. Captain Sora brought the unseen dawn right up to one of the anchor points. Deploying device now, she said. Her hands were steady on the controls. Behind her, her crew worked silently. They were all volunteers. They had all known how this would end. One by one, the devices were deployed. Dark matter antimatter charges, positioned at the exact coordinates Dr. Minji had calculated. Admiral Tae-yang watched the counter. 20 devices deployed, 30, 40, 47. 3 ships had failed to reach their positions. 3 devices had not been deployed. It might not be enough. This is the unseen dawn, Captain Sora said. We can reconfigure our reactor to act as a device. It will cover 2 of the missing positions. That will destroy your ship immediately, Admiral Tae-yang said. I know, sir, Sora said. She was smiling. He could hear it in her voice. It has been an honor serving with you. Sora, tell my family I love them. Tell them I was not afraid. Tell them it was worth it. The unseen dawn's reactor began to overload. Sora aimed her ship directly at one of the anchor points and engaged full thrust. Her crew sang the human anthem as they flew. Their voices echoed across the communication channel clear and strong. The ship hit the anchor point and exploded. The detonation was beautiful, a flower of dark matter energy blooming in impossible space. 1 position left, someone said. I will take it, Admiral Tae-yang said. He guided his ship toward the final anchor point. Around him, his crew prepared. They were not afraid. They were ready. He thought about Earth, about the blue sky and green grass he would never see again, about the life he had lived and the choices he had made. He thought about the future he was giving to others. This is Admiral Tae-yang to all forces, he said. We have done it. The devices are in position. When they detonate, the invasion will end. The galaxy will survive. That is all that matters, he paused. Tell them we bought them time. Tell them to use it wisely. Tell them humanity kept its promise. He activated the detonation sequence. All 48 devices, plus his ship's reactor, all set to explode simultaneously. See you on the other side, he said. The explosion rippled through dark matter space. The anchor points collapsed. The Nexus screamed, a sound that transcended dimensions. And then it was gone. Not destroyed, but severed from this galaxy. Thrown back into the void between universes. In normal space, every creature stopped moving. They flickered, confused. Then they began to dissolve. Without the Nexus to anchor them, they could not maintain their presence. They faded away like bad dreams, leaving empty space behind. On the diversion fleet, alarms suddenly went silent. The creatures were gone. Confirm, Commander Daejung said. His voice was hoarse. Are they really gone? Confirmed, an officer said. All hostile contacts have vanished. The threat is neutralized. The fleet hung in space, silent. They had won. But the cost was visible on every face. 3 months later, the galaxy held a memorial. Every species sent representatives. Captain Hyun gripped the arms of her command chair as her scout ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The small vessel shuddered, its hull groaning. Her crew of 12 worked at their stations, their faces lit by the glow of their displays. "Position confirmed," her navigator said. "We are at the last known coordinates of the transport vessel Morning Light." Hyun stared at the view screen. Empty space stretched before them. Stars glittered in the distance, but something was wrong. The colors seemed faded, like someone had drained the light from them. "Scan for debris. Scan for any signs of the transport ship," Hyun ordered. Her sensor officer worked quickly. "Nothing, Captain. No debris. No energy signatures. No residual heat traces. It is like the ship was never here." "What about the star?" Hyun pointed at the view screen. The star that should have been bright and yellow looked dim and gray. "That does not look right." The sensor officer adjusted her instruments. Her hands froze. "Captain, the star is dying. Its outer layers are being stripped away. Something is consuming it." Hyun felt ice run down her spine. Consuming it? What could consume a star? Before anyone could answer, the proximity alarm screamed. Red lights flashed across the bridge. "Contact!" the sensor officer shouted. "Something just appeared at the edge of our range. It is massive. It is—" She stopped. Her face went pale. "Captain, it is not following normal physics. It exists partially in normal space and partially in something else. Our sensors cannot get a full reading." "Show me," Hyun said. The view screen shifted. What appeared made Hyun's blood run cold. The thing was huge, easily the size of a small moon. It had no clear shape. One moment it looked solid. The next it seemed to flicker like a ghost. Tendrils of darkness reached out from it, touching the dying star. Where the tendrils touched, the star's light vanished. "It is feeding," Hyun whispered. "It is feeding on the star." The thing noticed them. The tendrils stopped moving. Then, slowly, they began to turn toward the scout ship. "Full power to engines!" Hyun shouted. "Get us out of here now!" Her pilot's hands flew across the controls. The scout ship turned, its engines roaring to life. But the thing was faster. A tendril of darkness shot across space, moving impossibly fast. It touched their aft shields. The ship screamed. Alarms blared. 3 crew members at the rear stations simply vanished, their bodies dissolving into nothing. Hyun heard someone scream. She grabbed the emergency communication system. "This is Captain Hyun of the Earth Scout ship Silent Wind. We have made contact with an unknown hostile entity at coordinates." She read off the numbers. "It consumes matter and energy. It exists partially outside normal space. We are attempting to escape. If you receive this message, warn the council. Warn everyone, they are coming." Another tendril touched their ship. The engine room exploded. Half her crew died instantly. The ship tumbled through space, bleeding air and fire. "Jump drive!" Hyun screamed. "Activate it now!" "It is not ready," her pilot shouted back. "We need 30 more seconds to charge." They did not have 30 seconds. Another tendril reached for them. Hyun closed her eyes and prayed to gods she did not believe in. The jump drive activated. Space twisted. The scout ship vanished, leaving the hungry darkness behind. On Earth, in a hidden facility carved into an asteroid deep in the outer solar system, Admiral Tae Yang received Captain Hyun's message. He stood in the command center, watching the recording play 3 times. Around him, officers and scientists watched in silence. Dr. Minji stood beside him, her eyes fixed on the image of the creature. "Beautiful," she whispered. "That thing killed 6 of Hyun's crew," Admiral Tae Yang said. "It consumed a star. You call that beautiful? I call it confirmation." Dr. Minji pulled up a holographic display. "For 30 years we have been working on the dark matter project. Everyone thought we were crazy. The council laughed at our research. They said dark matter was useless, just invisible mass that could not be manipulated." She pointed at the creature on the screen. "But we were right. That thing exists partially in dark matter space. That is why the council's weapons will not work against it. They do not have the technology to touch something that exists between dimensions. Admiral Tae Yang turned to face the window. Beyond it, hidden in the darkness of the asteroid field, 300 ships waited. They looked like ghosts, their hulls shimmering with energy that flickered between visible and invisible. The dark matter fleet, humanity's secret weapon, 30 years of work, trillions of credits, the combined effort of the brightest minds humanity had ever produced. How long until they reach Council space? The Admiral asked. An intelligence officer checked his display. If they move at the speed Captain Hune observed, 3 months, maybe 4. The Council does not believe the threat is real, another officer said. We sent the warnings, they ignored them. Admiral Tae Yang made his decision. Begin mobilization. I want every ship ready to deploy in 2 weeks. Wake all crew members from cold sleep. Activate all stations, prepare for full combat operations. Sir, the intelligence officer said carefully, if we do this, we reveal everything. The Council will know we have been building a fleet in secret. They will know we lied about our capabilities. Yes, Admiral Tae Yang said. They will. Dr. Minji smiled. About time, if you ask me. I am tired of pretending to be stupid. On Station Nexus Prime, Commander Dae-jung stood in the observation deck, watching ships come and go. Ji-won joined him, carrying 2 cups of coffee. Human coffee. Not the synthetic stuff the Council provided. The Council sent a fleet to investigate the edge, Ji-won said. 20 ships, all equipped with conventional weapons. Dae-jung took the coffee. They will not come back. I know. Ji-won sipped her drink. Counselor Kresh is leading them personally. He gave a speech about showing the humans how a real military force operates. How long until they reach the danger zone? 3 days. Dae-jung nodded slowly. 3 days until the Council learned the truth. 3 days until everything changed. The Council fleet jumped into the danger zone exactly 3 days later. Counselor Kresh stood on the bridge of his flagship, surrounded by his best warriors. 20 ships. Thousands of soldiers. The finest weapons the Council had developed over thousands of years. They lasted 6 hours. The first ship died without ever seeing what killed it. One moment it was scanning for threats, the next it simply was not there anymore. No explosion, no debris, just gone. Kresh ordered his fleet to attack formations. They fired every weapon they had. Energy beams, missiles, plasma torpedoes, graviton bombs. Nothing worked. The creatures, dozens of them now, flickered in and out of existence. The weapons passed through them like they were ghosts. Then the creatures stopped flickering. They became solid, and they attacked. Kresh watched 3 of his ships dissolve like sugar in water. He screamed orders, but it did not matter. The creatures were everywhere. They touched ships, and the ships vanished. They touched stars, and the stars died. They were hunger given form. They were darkness made real. Kresh's flagship was the last to die. He managed to send one final message, 3 words. They are coming. Then he and his ship and his crew became nothing. On Earth, in the hidden command center, alarms began to sound. Admiral Tae Yang watched the displays. 20 red dots representing the Council fleet blinked out one by one. In minutes, all 20 were gone. They are moving faster now, Dr. Minji said quietly. They are not just consuming. They are hunting. Engineer Bora, who had helped design the dark matter drives, looked up from her station. How long until they reach the first Council worlds? An officer checked the calculations. 2 weeks, maybe less. Admiral Tae Yang stood. Around him, the command center fell silent. Send a message to Commander Dae-jung. Tell him it is time. Tell him to make contact with Ambassador Hana. Tell them both to prepare. Sir, an officer said, are we really going to save them? After everything they said to us? After how they treated us? Admiral Tae Yang thought about that. He thought about Vexith's mocking laughter. He thought about Moros calling humans a service species. He thought about 50 years of insults and dismissals and contempt. Then he thought about the billions of innocent people on council worlds who had done nothing wrong. Children, families, people who had never mocked anyone. Yes, he said, we are going to save them, because that is what we do. That is what makes us human. The first world died on a Tuesday morning. 3 billion people, gone in 4 hours. The council emergency session was chaos. Councilors screamed at each other in dozens of languages. Some demanded immediate military action, others wanted to flee. A few suggested surrender, though no one knew how to surrender to something that did not communicate. High Chancellor Moros tried to maintain order, but his voice was lost in the noise. The ancient insectoid looked old for the first time. Tired. Afraid Ambassador Hana stood at the human platform waiting. Commander Daejung stood beside her, his military uniform pressed and perfect. Neither of them spoke. They simply waited for the chaos to burn itself out. Councillor Vexith was shouting at someone when he noticed them. He stopped mid-sentence, his yellow eyes fixed on Hana. You, he said, you tried to warn us. The chamber fell silent. Yes, Hana said simply. Vexith's scales rippled with an emotion Daejung could not identify. Shame, perhaps. Or fear. Your captain, Hyun. She encountered these things? Yes. 6 of her crew died. She barely escaped. The fleet we sent, Moros said quietly. Councillor Kresh, 20 ships. They are all gone, every single one. We know, Hana said. We monitored the engagement. Your conventional weapons cannot harm these entities. They exist partially in dark matter space. Energy beams pass through them. Explosives do nothing. You might as well throw rocks at them. Then what do we do? A bird-like councillor cried. How do we fight them? Hana looked at Daejung. He nodded once. You cannot fight them, Hana said. But we can. The chamber erupted again. This time with disbelief. You? Vexith said. Humans? With your primitive fusion drives and projectile weapons? You expect us to believe? We have been lying to you for 30 years, Hana said. Her voice cut through the noise like a knife. Every treaty we signed, every technology assessment we submitted, every time we pretended to struggle with basic spatial manipulation, all lies. Moros leaned forward. Explain. Daejung pulled out a data chip, human technology, not council standard. He tossed it to the center of the chamber. It floated there, spinning slowly. That contains proof. Our real military capabilities, our real technology, our fleet. You do not have a fleet, a purple councillor said. We have inspected your shipyards. We have seen your vessels. Crude, primitive, barely capable of... The displays around the chamber activated. Every screen showed the same image. A ship, but not like any ship the council had ever seen. It was beautiful and terrifying. Its hull shimmered like a ghost, flickering between solid and transparent. Dark energy crackled around it, bending light in impossible ways. That is impossible, Vexith whispered. That is the unseen dawn, Daejung said. Our flagship, one of 300 vessels in our dark matter fleet. More images appeared. Ships emerging from hidden asteroid bases. Ships that had been there for years, invisible to council sensors. Ships that should not exist. Dr. Minji's voice came through the communication system. Hello, Council. My name is Dr. Minji. I lead the Human Dark Matter Research Project. While you were busy refining conventional physics, we were exploring something you dismissed as useless. Dark matter. Dark energy. The invisible universe that makes up most of reality. Her voice was cheerful, almost playful. You called us primitive. You laughed at our research. You thought we were stupid. Thank you for that. It made it much easier to work in secret. Moro stood slowly. His forearms trembled. You built an entire fleet without our knowledge. You developed technology beyond our understanding. Why? Because we knew this day would come, Hana said. Not this specifically, but we knew that someday, Someone would threaten the galaxy, and we knew the Council in all its arrogance would not be ready. So we prepared. You prepared to conquer us, a counselor accused. No, Hana said firmly. We prepared to save you. There is a difference. Vexith laughed. It was a broken sound. So now you have us. We are helpless. The things are coming. We cannot stop them. And you have the only weapons that can fight them. He met Hana's eyes. What do you want? Hana pulled out a datapad. Full council membership, voting rights, technology sharing agreements, equal status with all other species, and a formal apology for 50 years of contempt and mockery. The chamber was silent. And if we refuse? Moros asked quietly. Hana put the datapad away. Then we save whoever we can. We evacuate any world that asks for help. But we will not fight your war for you. We will not risk human lives for a council that has treated us as servants. She meant it. Daejung could see that every counselor understood. Humanity was not bluffing. They would let the council burn if necessary. I accept, Moros said. You do not have the authority to... Another counselor began. I am High Chancellor, Moros said, and we are out of options. I accept humanity's terms, all of them. He looked at Vexith. Do you object? Vexith stared at Hana for a long moment. Then he bowed his head. No, I do not object. Humanity has earned our respect, and I owe them an apology. He stood, then did something that shocked everyone in the chamber. He knelt. A counselor, kneeling before a human. I mocked you. I called you primitive. I was wrong. Forgive me. Daejung watched other counselors kneel, one by one, even the proud ones, even the ones who had laughed the loudest. They knelt before Ambassador Hana and threw her before all of humanity. Hana helped Vexith stand. Apology accepted. Now get up, all of you. We have work to do. Commander Daejung activated his communicator. Admiral Tae Yang, begin activation sequence. Authorization code Taejung Alpha 7. Across the galaxy, in 47 hidden locations, ancient security systems deactivated. Camouflage fields that had run for 30 years finally shut down, and the true scope of human preparation was revealed. Station Nexus Prime's long-range sensors went crazy. An officer stared at his display in disbelief. Sir, he said to his superior. Sir, you need to see this. What is it? Ships, hundreds of them. They just appeared. They were always there, but we could not see them. The officer's voice shook. How did they hide them? How did they hide 300 ships? On the viewing screens across the galaxy, people watched in awe. The dark matter fleet emerged like ghosts becoming real. Their hulls shimmered with dark energy. They moved between dimensions, existing in normal space and dark matter space simultaneously. They were humanity's answer to an impossible threat. Captain Sora stood on the bridge of the unseen dawn. She was young for a ship commander, barely 35 years old. But she had trained her entire life for this moment. All stations report ready, her tactical officer said. Good, Sora said. She opened a channel to the fleet. This is Captain Sora of the Unseen Dawn to all dark matter fleet vessels. You know our mission. You know what we face. 30 years ago, humanity decided to stop being afraid. 30 years ago, we decided to prepare. Today, we proved that preparation was not in vain. She paused. The council mocked us. They called us primitive. They laughed at our research. Today we show them what humanity can do. Today we show them why they should have taken us seriously from the start. All ships, prepare for combat operations. We have a galaxy to save. Admiral Tae Yang watched from the hidden command center. Engineer Bora stood beside him, tears running down her face. We did it, she whispered. We actually did it. Now we have to make it work, Admiral Tae Yang said. He opened a channel to the council. This is Admiral Tae Yang of the Human Defense Fleet. We are ready to begin combined operations. Send us coordinates of all threatened worlds. We will establish defensive positions immediately. Moros responded personally. Admiral, we are transmitting the data now. 3 worlds are under immediate threat. 7 more are in the projected path. We have begun evacuations, but we do not have enough ships. We do, Admiral Taeyang said. Send us the civilian population's locations. We will extract them. On the first threatened world, people watched the sky. They had been told death was coming. They had been told nothing could save them. They waited to die. Then the ships appeared. Human ships, shimmering like ghosts. They descended through the atmosphere, their hulls protected by dark matter shields. They landed in cities and towns and villages, and humans emerged wearing armor that flickered with the same ghostly energy as their ships. We are here to evacuate you, a human soldier said to a terrified alien child. You are safe now. Come with us. 3 million people were evacuated in 2 days. The creatures arrived on the 3rd day, but by then the world was empty, and the dark matter fleet was waiting. The Grand Assembly Hall stretched out like a cathedral of light and crystal. Ambassador Hana stood at the speaking platform, her hands clasped behind her back. Above her, hundreds of alien species watched from their floating seats. Some had scales. Others had fur or skin that glowed in the dark. A few looked like they were made of living stone. They all had one thing in common. They were all staring at the human woman with barely hidden amusement. Commander Daejung stood behind Hana, wearing his military uniform. His face showed nothing, but his eyes tracked every movement in the chamber. Lieutenant Jiwon stood beside him holding a data tablet. She kept her expression neutral, but Daejung could see her jaw tighten every time the council members laughed. Earth requests full membership in the Galactic Council, Hana said. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber. We have served as provisional members for 50 years. We have paid our dues. We have followed every regulation. We have contributed resources and personnel to council projects. We believe we have earned the right to vote. A sound like grinding metal filled the hall. Councillor Vexith was laughing. The reptilian creature leaned forward in his floating seat, his yellow eyes gleaming. Humans want to vote on what? Which flavor of chemical fuel to burn in their primitive rockets? More laughter rippled through the chamber. Hana did not move. She waited for the noise to die down. High Chancellor Moros raised one of his 4 arms. The ancient insectoid's carapace gleamed under the lights. Silence fell immediately. Ambassador Hana, he said, his voice clicking and buzzing. The translation device made it sound almost gentle. Your species has made admirable progress, but you must understand our position. The council membership requires certain standards. Military capability is one of them. We have military capability, Hana said calmly. You have fusion drives, Vexith interrupted. Technology we abandoned 3,000 years ago. You have projectile weapons, missiles, explosives. You are children playing with fire, and you want to sit at the adult table. A bird-like species representative chirped something that made several nearby councillors chuckle. Jiwon's tablet showed the translation. At least they stopped hitting each other with rocks. Daejung's hand moved slightly. Jiwon glanced at him and saw the tiny shake of his head. Not yet, not here. Hana continued as if nothing had happened. We understand the council's concerns. However, we believe our contributions speak for themselves. Human engineers have helped repair 17 station systems in the past decade. Human medical research has— Yes, Moros interrupted. You make excellent janitors and nurses. We acknowledge your service species have their uses. But membership? Full voting rights? That requires more than the ability to clean our stations and patch our wounds. The words hit like a slap. Service species. That was what they called civilizations that provided labor but had no real power. Hana's expression did not change. We ask that the council reconsider, she said. Moros clicked his mandibles together. The council has considered. The answer is no. Earth will remain a provisional member. You will continue to pay your dues and provide your services. In another 100 years, perhaps we will discuss this again. Vexith leaned back in his seat. I visited Earth once, he said. Do you know what I saw? Billions of you crawling across one small planet. You fight each other over invisible lines on maps. You poison your own air and water. You have barely reached your own moon, and you think you deserve to guide galactic policy? He made a dismissive gesture. Come back when you have mastered basic spatial manipulation. Then perhaps we will take you seriously. A purple-skinned counselor added, I heard humans tried to reverse engineer Thalian plasma cores. They melted 3 of their research stations. More laughter filled the chamber. Hana waited. When the noise died down, she spoke again. We understand the Council's decision. Earth will continue to serve as a provisional member. However, I must raise a concern. The Edge monitoring stations have reported increased anomalies. Ships have gone missing near the Edge is always dangerous, Moros said. This is known. Space is vast and holds many hazards. Your concern is noted and dismissed. Vexith grinned, showing rows of sharp teeth. Perhaps the humans are seeing ghosts. Their sensors are so primitive they probably mistake asteroids for threats. Daejung watched Moros carefully. The High Chancellor had dismissed the warning too quickly. That was interesting. Either he truly did not care or he already knew something, and did not want to discuss it in open session. If there is nothing else, Moros said, this session is concluded. Ambassador Hana, you may return to your quarters. Commander Daejung, you may return to your ship. The floating seats began to move. Counselors drifted toward the exits, their voices filling the chamber with dozens of languages. Hana stepped down from the platform. Daejung and Jiwon fell into step beside her. They walked through the corridors of Station Nexus Prime in silence. Other species moved around them. Some ignored the humans completely. Others stared with open curiosity or contempt. A group of insectoid soldiers moved past, their armor gleaming. One of them deliberately shouldered into Jiwon. She stumbled but kept walking. When they reached their private quarters, Daejung checked the room for listening devices. He found 3. He left them active but moved to the far corner where he had installed a white noise generator. The 3 of them huddled close. 50 years, Jiwon said quietly. 50 years of this and patience, Hana said. We knew this would take time. Daejung pulled out his communicator. It was a human device, not council technology. He pressed a sequence of buttons. Message received while we were in the chamber, he said. Encrypted. Priority 1. From Earth? Hana asked. From the outer colonies. Captain Hyun sent it. Daejung read the message, his expression darkening. 3 more systems have gone dark. No distress signals. No warnings. Just silence. Jiwon leaned closer. The same as the others? Exactly the same. Daejung looked at Hana. Hyun thinks she found something. She is taking her scout ship to investigate the last known position of the missing vessels. Hana closed her eyes for a moment. And the project? Admiral Taeyang reports all facilities are operational and ready. Dr. Minji sent her final calculations. They have been verified. The fleet is ready. Daejung allowed himself a small smile. We just need a reason to reveal it. We tried to warn them, Jiwon said. They laughed at us. Hana opened her eyes. They will not laugh for much longer. If what we suspect is true, if the reports from the Edge are correct, then everything is about to change. Daejung looked at the closed door. Beyond it, the council went about its business. Proud, arrogant, certain of their superiority. They had no idea what humanity had been building in the darkness. They had no idea what was coming from the edge of the galaxy. How long do we keep the secret? Jiwon asked. Hana considered the question. As long as we can. Until the moment we cannot. Outside the window, stars glittered in the eternal night. Somewhere out there, beyond the edges of known space, something was moving. Something that would change everything. The council thought humanity was weak and primitive. They were about to learn the truth. Daejung sent a coded reply to Captain Hyun. 3 words. Investigate and report. The message traveled across light years. And in the darkness beyond the light of known stars, something ancient and hungry noticed the transmission. Something that was already moving toward them. The council had mocked humanity. Soon they would need them.